Good morning. You guys got here before me. Hi. Happy Monday. Oh, we made it to Monday. So, good morning, Kristen. Good morning, Cindy. Good morning, Jamila. Good morning, everyone, for joining us. It's our Quantum Human Design Weekly Evolution Report / Energy Report / Buckle Your Seatbelts. Here's what we've got for you coming up this week. Actually, we're only going to meet for 45 minutes today because I have a couple of important things I want to update you on. We've got a pretty full day here at the Quantum Alignment System, LLC, formerly known as our Joyful Mission. We are launching, starting today, a 7-day Human Design or Love Yourself by Human Design challenge. We're going to be doing this challenge on Clubhouse starting tomorrow. So if you go to our club events, right, Kristen, is that where they can find information?
Yes.
You will see that tomorrow we have our very first of our 7-day series. Tomorrow we're going to be focusing on quantum human design and the mechanics of quantum creativity and how your human design and why your human design is so important in helping you understand the way in which you interface with the quantum field and how you can use your human design to create what you want in your life, which is actually a little bit of what we're going to be talking about in our evolution report today. So if you want more information about how you can join the challenge, catch any replays you might want to catch, get access to our free workbook, be sure we've got your name so we can get you with the workbook that goes along with it, as well as the slides, which are going to be so important for when we do this on Clubhouse. That way you'll have a nice visual to follow along as I go through the material that I'm going to share with you tomorrow. Go to our Clubhouse page, KarenCurryParker.club. On that page, you're going to have the opportunity to get a written copy of this week's Quantum Human Design Evolution Report. You're going to get the opportunity to register for our Self-Love by Design 7-day challenge. Tomorrow, when you go to our Clubhouse page, you'll see a link that will give you the access to the slides that we're going to be using. You'll also, again, if you go to our Quantum Human Design Club, you'll see all the times listed. We did a whole variety of different times because we wanted to make sure that everybody would have a chance to join in at least one session. And included in the sessions, we're going to be doing live chart readings. We're going to be talking about human design and money and manifesting. We're going to be talking about quantum creativity. We're going to be exploring the 5 quantum human design types. We're going to be talking about all kinds of really cool and exciting things, including a special bonus class next week that I'll tell you about later. So go to KarenCurryParker.club and you'll get all the information you need to join us for our challenge. Whew. All right. Well, that being said, without further ado, we should probably get started on our energy report for this week. Did you have something you wanted to add, Kristen?
It's so good.
Our evolution report?
Yes.
Okay, I'm glad you liked it. So, we're going to talk about a topic that nobody really likes to talk about. I mean, they like to talk about it mostly. I think it's a topic, honestly, that a lot of us like to kind of complain about. So we're going to talk about it and hopefully put a little bit of a reframe on it because it's actually one of the cornerstones, if you will, of human design. And we're going to talk about the importance and the power of waiting, which I will talk about in like half a second. I got to plug my computer in quickly.
I just want to say, they're always good, but this week, personally, it really resonated with me on a different level from where I'm at. So I just wanted to clarify that.
That's the time bender, and it is an important message. All time bender / manifesting generator types.
Yes.
All right. So just a quick reminder, we are recording this particular Clubhouse session. So if for some reason you come up stage, please be aware that you will be recorded. So, all right, I'm going to start. Buckle up, Kristen. And you too, Jamie. And you too, Cindy, but you get to do this in much more moderated levels. Cindy's our stabilizing force. So, all right, sometimes when we talk about spirituality, we think of it as kind of this separate thing, right? We think it's something that's sort of intangible. It's reserved for retreats or quiet moments that you spend in meditation and contemplation. And it's really easy in the way in which we talk about or think about spirituality to forget that all of our lives, every part of it, all the rich, complex, and juicy parts, as well as the boring and the mundane parts, are actually spiritual. You're a soul experiencing consciousness, expressing through a human story. And every part of this human story is vital and spiritual. So, doing laundry, which I have done so much laundry in the last week post wedding, because we had one of our daughters got married last weekend, and there was so much laundry when we got home. Doing laundry is no less spiritual than meditating or watching the sunrise. So the whole of your human story is a cosmic gift, and you are deliberately steering your life and crafting the narrative of your life in partnership with Source. That's the purpose of your life. So we can make it really rich and juicy and complex, but the reality of it is, our challenge here is we are learning to deliberately steer our life by crafting the narrative of our life so that we can engage in partnership with Source. And that partnership doesn't always involve dramatic spiritual events like the visitation of an angel or a Kundalini experience. And that's I think an important part to realize, because I think so many times we're having a spiritual experience and we don't see it because we're waiting for Archangel Michael to show up in a big giant flaming cloud with a sword, and we don't realize that the mindfulness of dropping the underwear in the laundry into the washing machine is a really incredibly crazy, powerful spiritual event. I mean, think about all the quantum potentials that had to be manifested for you to have laundry underwear to drop into a washing machine. And on a very different note, think about how much gratitude we should all be experiencing if we're lucky enough to be able to drop our underwear into a washing machine. The experience of the rightness of your life story in the essential alignment of what feels good. Meaning the rightness, the alignment, the fulfillment of your purpose, you're on task, you're on track, you're on purpose when you feel good, correct, and aligned. So when we're living true the expression of consciousness through us, we experience waves of joy, harmony, sweetness, subtle as it is at times. Those feelings let us know that we're headed in an aligned direction towards the fulfillment of whatever it is we need to experience next in order to fulfill the narrative that is our unique story and part of our cosmic journey. In other words, keeping it simple, we're supposed to be following what feels good. We're supposed to be doing what feels right. That inner sense of alignment with, oh, I love this. Oh, this is amazing. Or, oh, that feels like the right thing to do. That's the signal that life's intelligence is showing us through its flow through our human story that we're on track. This is why we wait. When I first teach people about human design, or I give them their reading, or right now I'm working with a friend of mine who is this incredibly successful, like mind-blowingly Forbes billionaire successful entrepreneur that I've been friends with him since college, and he's a projector. Teaching him about waiting. It's like, what? Right? And of course, the first thing that people worry about when they first meet their design is, well, how long do we have to wait, right? And part of what happens is our conditioning around doing is so powerful that waiting feels like torture. And it's a direct antithesis, we think, to getting things done in the world, right? If we think, if I'm not, quote unquote, doing anything, which is how we define waiting, right, then nothing's going to happen. The world will go to hell in a handbasket, right? Because we're all sitting around waiting. There's fear and tension around the idea of waiting. How long? What if nothing happens? What if I miss the boat? Where's the money going to come from? How is anything in my life going to happen? The thing is, the root about this worry isn't really about what's going to happen or waiting. I'm going to say that again because I want you to hear this so closely. The root of this worry isn't really about time and timing and nothing happening. The root of this worry is really about self-worth and the artificial value that society confers upon us when we're busy. Who am I if I'm not doing? What is my value in the world? I'm not busy doing something. We have so much accolades around hustle that when we stop, we think we lose our value in society, right? We immediately start worrying about, oh my God, am I lazy? Right? Think this is a really huge thing for by projector types, for all these orchestrators out there, for all of you out there. The relationship between what you do and your value is not aligned. You're not valuable because you do. None of us is valuable because of what we do. We are inherently valuable because we exist. The minute you take your very first breath when you leave your mother's body, you are being valuable. You're actually valuable before you take that breath. Okay, your value is conferred upon you because you exist. That's it. You just have to keep breathing. That's the only thing you have to do to stay valuable. And when you pass, when you change, forms, the value of who you are will be the story that you leave. And that story isn't going to be about what you did. It was about who were you? Who were you? So the second root of this worry is really about, this is a tricky one for a lot of us, learning to trust source. It's hard to wait. It's even terrifying to wait if you don't trust that you're fully supported by the universe. But here's the thing. Waiting bears tremendous fruit if we sink into it and allow it. So I've been thinking about this a lot in my garden right now because I live in Minnesota. So for me, as a native Texan, the seasons in Minnesota are very slow. The summer season is very short. It also is very late. So I'm in Minnesota. I have this beautiful raised bed garden that my husband built for me. And every year I have this just amazing vegetable garden that, brings me to tears because I love it so much. And I feel so loved when I walk in my garden because I feel like my husband built this for me, right? So this season of the year it's a time of a lot of tension and waiting in my garden. So the squash has just come up and the leaves are beautiful and they're blossoming. I have eggplant this year. Oh my gosh, I have these beautiful eggplants this year and they're blossoming. There's baby fruits on the vine. I've got little teeny tiny watermelons growing and pumpkins. And I'm so excited and really just anticipating the harvest. But that's not going to happen for a while. That's not going to happen until September, October. And in the meantime, I have to do the work of taking care of the garden. I've got stupid Egyptian beetles that are all over the leaves. I have to make sure that the squash doesn't get moldy or if I overwater it, and I have to make sure that it doesn't dry out. Squash gets this weird mold thing that I still haven't cracked the code for the squash mold. I have to train all the vines to go in the right direction. I have to tie up the tomatoes and the eggplants, which I didn't know I had to do, but I do, because I don't want the weight of the bounty to cause them to topple over and break off. Waiting is a gift. It helps us prepare. It helps us prepare. And it allows us to evaluate our narrative and decondition it. It gives us the time to look at our old stories and assess whether we want to continue to use those old words to define us or whether it's time for an upgrade, a new story that's stronger, a more aligned template for what we want to bring into the world as the full expression of our potential. This is what the current creative quarter, which I call the quarter of the template, asks us to contemplate. We've got a couple more weeks. This quarter started May the 3rd of this year. It ends on August the 5th of this year. And during this quarter, we are tasked with the job of finding the vocabulary of our soul's intention and to craft a narrative that becomes the frame within which we weave the creation of the rest of the year. So the word template, which is a French word, is actually a word for the frame that you use for weaving. So within that template, we weave the narrative that ultimately creates the tapestry of our life, or at least it creates a square on the quilt of our life, if we're going to go crazy with metaphors here. All right, so during the quarter of the template, the sun transits through all the gates of the throat center, which I like to call the activation center in quantum human design, and some of the gates of the root center, the divine timing center, and it gives us a theme of practicing using language to calibrate our readiness to be in the flow of divine timing. So last week I talked a lot about influencing divine timing and the importance of, with the sun in the 53, making sure that part of what you do to influence divine timing is that you're prepared for what's next. And part of being prepared is making sure that you've taken care of unfinished business, right? That you've handled all those little things that are hanging down into our lives that we think, oh, I've pushed them to the back of my mind. They're not taking up much space, but they're actually holding so much space that we can't create what's next because we got to finish what's come before. So in this quarter, we're poised for action. We're designed to get clear about our intentions. We are designed to prepare to move forward for when we get the call, if we do this work, the work that this quarter calls on us to do. Our job right now is to keep gathering the vocabulary of our future and to use the power of language to keep our energy aligned with faith and positive expectations. This is why the energy of the words we use are so important. The words we use create photon storms, storms of light in our brains. Those photon storms create neurotransmitters. Those neurotransmitters create an emotional frequency of energy. That emotional frequency of energy calibrates the heart, and particularly the electromagnetic frequency of the heart, and what we know from human design, that attractive magnetic monopole that lives in the heart of who we are in the G center. Our emotional energy calibrates that monopole to attract things into our experience that match how we feel, or that match the narrative, the story we tell about who we are. That's really powerful. And all of that is initiated by narrative and language. So your words, we say your thoughts create your reality. Totally. Not literally. It's, sometimes literally. I mean, sometimes if you visualize the Suburban, you get the Suburban or whatever car you're trying to create. But really what happens is your words create an energy field. And that energy field calibrates the heart. That energy field actually affects your DNA. We know this from work we do in the lab. That energy field, in turn, compels potentials out of the quantum field to drop into your manifest reality. Your words create. The language you use creates. And you need the time, the waiting, to make sure that the energy you're engineering for the manifestation of whatever it is you're trying to create, you need the waiting to make sure that the story you're telling matches with what you really want, matches with who you really are, that the story you're telling is deconditioned. And so when we buck against the waiting, oh my God, how long do I have to wait? What we're really doing is affording ourselves the opportunity to heal our self-worth and to remember that we are in partnership with Source. And from that place, then crafting the language, the dream, so that we can keep weaving into that template the true story of who we really are. All right. So the sun this week moves from the gate 53, the gate of starting, to the gate 62, the gate of preparation on Tuesday, tomorrow. The gate 62 invites us to learn to trust ourselves and source. So trust ourselves and source so that we'll be prepared for the next step. So this is a really interesting energy. To me, the gate 62, which can be a gate that offers a lot of potential for practical solutions. It has the ability to translate ideas into smaller bite-sized steps. It is highly organized. Those are the strengths of the 62 energy. But in the shadow, this is actually where worry can live in the chart. The 62 in the shadow makes us worried that we're not ready, that we don't have everything we need. If you go on a picnic with someone with a gate 62 and they're living out the shadow, you're going to need an extra wagon to carry every single condiment that they thought we might need just in case. The fear of the 62 is that I won't be ready. I won't have what I need. And so, it begins to pull into its experience everything that it thinks it needs just in case. Marry that with, say, a gate 48, where you have a potential for a fear of inadequacy or an open spleen, or a line 1 that needs to know the depth of the foundation and doesn't always know when the foundation is deep enough. You see that you have the potential here with this gate for a lot of freak out if you think you don't have what you need, if you think you're not prepared, right? But there's a lesson here, as there are in every single gate that we have in the chart. There's a lesson, and the 62 brings us the lesson of not letting worry and over-preparation detract you from being present to the moment, and to not let the fear of not being ready keep you playing smaller than your right place in the world. This is a little bit of an extension of the exploration of letting go of the question, how? How am I going to make this happen? The how is you have to stay present. Because what the human design chart shows us is that all of us, regardless of type, all of us are to some degree doing the cosmic cha-cha-cha with the material world. And part of that dance that we're all engaged in is about being present, paying attention, seeing what's showing up, following the cues and clues, tuning into that inner alignment, that place where you're looking at, oh, this feels good, I'm going to go over here, and trusting that we'll know what we need to know when we need to know it. And to not let our not knowing in the moment about something that hasn't happened yet, pre-worrying. I was talking to my 12-year-old about this. She has a lot of anxiety about being ready for the future. She's an unconscious first line. I keep telling her, stop pre-worrying about events that haven't even happened yet, right? That pre-worrying happens when we're allowing that pre-worrying, so to speak, to take precedent over our consciousness and keep us from being present. We also stop ourselves from having the dream, allowing ourselves to follow the dream to dream bigger than where we are right now. Anytime we get hung up on the how, and this happens in a bunch of different gates, particularly in the head of the ajna, the gate 47 as example, the gate 64 as an example. Anytime we get hung up on the how, we run the risk of playing smaller than our right place. It's not up to us to figure out how. So one of the other things that happens in the waiting is the cosmos, source, God, quantum field, whatever you want to call it. The cosmos has the time, if you will, although time is sort of not really real on a cosmic level, to put together all the little parameters, all the pieces of the things that need to come together to make something manifest in your life. Okay? Your beautiful human mind can create powerfully. It can dictate parameters powerfully. And when we're playing with this gate 62 energy, as we all are, our tendency is to want to dictate the parameters, to tell the cosmos, this is what I want. It needs to be this size, this big, this color. And oftentimes we're trained to manifest that way, right? We're told to get super specific about what we want. But when we lock ourselves into the specificity to such a degree that we don't allow ourselves to be open to the synchronicity and the magic that can happen when we let go and trust, and we simply hold the vibration and the identity of who it is we are growing into becoming, then we actually make it more difficult for the universe to deliver its magic, because the universe is going to give you what you want regardless. But if you dictate all the parameters, you're basically shutting down the magic of divine mind. And when we play in the human story at that small scale, and we don't let divine mind work in partnership with our identity, then we play smaller than our right place in the world. Okay? So that's the 62. So this week we're learning to master not letting worry and over preparation detract us from being present to the moment, and to not let our fear of not being ready keep us trapped in playing small. That's the first job this week. The earth this week grounds us in the gate 54, the gate of divine inspiration, moving to the gate 61, the gate of wonder, tomorrow. Both of these energies invite us to connect more deeply to the bigger vision and the bigger purpose of our lives in order for us to play our right place in the unfolding of the cosmic plan. So, there's a certain amount of needing to take a step back, a big step back, from our current experiences, from the past events that maybe we have allowed to limit the story of who we are, and to see the bigger picture of why we've had the experiences that we've had, particularly in the 61 energy. We are being encouraged with this 61 energy to find the blessings from the pain, to find the gratitude for the things that have happened to us, even if they've been tragic, and to recognize that even though they may have been tragic, there was something in those events for us. For us. This isn't in any way condoning some of the terrible things that may have happened to many of you. This isn't saying, oh, you got tortured because you needed this lesson, because the universe doesn't really work that way. But it's more about looking at what has transpired before and reclaiming your sovereignty over that event by finding the blessing in the story, by finding what it was that you got from it in the story, so that you don't stay stuck in that small place where things happened to you, and you move into a narrative that says everything happens for you, even if you sometimes have to go on a detective hunt to figure it out. And that's really what the 61 is. It's that detective hunt. And that detective hunt, when we move into that hunt, if you will, for the blessings with the mindset of wonder, when we are delusionally confident that we are infinitely loved by Source, that we are here for a reason, that we are unqualifyingly valuable because of our existence, when we stay in that place where we don't question who we are and why we're here, but we just simply celebrate that we are here, and we look at the evidence of our outer reality through those eyes, we start to find the blessings in every element of our life story. And from those blessings, we ground ourselves in the understanding that it's all for us. And when we understand that it's all for us, and that we are okay, and we are supported, and we are loved, and we are valuable, and we do have a right place and a purpose, then we don't have to freak out about having every external parameter and possibility and contingency plan handled. We can drop into the trust of the 62 that says, I'll know what I need to know when I need to know it. And trust that because we'll know what we need to know when we need to know it, we can just simply stay present to the gift that is our life, to the joy of dropping the underwear in the washing machine and knowing that that's the next right step, right? for starting off on a great day. So, again, all of this points to a delicious invitation from the planets this week to stay awake and aware, to engage with our material world as if every moment and every action is sacred, because it is, to allow ourselves a big enough perspective that we see that everything is a miracle, even ironing and your clothes, and to take stock of all the billions of ways our every breath and every step is being divinely supported. So I want to encourage you this week really to play, to stay in gratitude, to notice the beauty of the world, to trust that everything is unfolded for your greatest good, even if you didn't like it at the time, and to keep exploring the stories you tell about who you are. Keep exploring the stories about what you want. Keep exploring the stories you're telling yourself about what you believe is possible for your life. Because now, especially now until October, now is the time to blast the edges off your limits and explore how shifting your narrative can change everything. It changes everything.
Okay, so I can just feel y'all clapping and the excitement as much as I'm excited. I know this is something that we all innately know, but as humans, I always say like we get lost in our human suit. It's so easy to get just caught up in the story, in the human story, and forget all of this that we already know. And this is one of those weeks where it's like this reminder came at such a perfect time. And if y'all follow us, you know we do a Clubhouse replay, and this is one of those ones I encourage you to just save. And when you have those weeks or you have those days or you have those months or cycles of life, just replay this to remind yourself of this truth. So, so profound. Thank you, Karen.
You're welcome. I'm happy to follow the instructions I get every Sunday when it's time to write the report. So, and waiting is, I mean, really waiting is hard. It is hard. And part of it is hard because we are really deconditioning ourselves out of the story of our value being tied to our doing, and consequently the potential that we lose value when we stop doing. And, you know, I think this is a big challenge in our human design conversation. You know, how do we maybe redefine waiting and turn it into preparing? Or redefine waiting and call it, you know, the cosmic pause for healing? Or redefine waiting as cycles of alignment and stop judging that waiting piece and trusting that we are valuable enough to be worthy of taking the pause to recalibrate, to reconnect, to resource.
Totally. And I think it comes down, it reminds me of the 952 channel. You know, I think sometimes we do get, and even the 62, we get so focused in on like what's in front of us that we forget that whole value piece, that there is a bigger story playing out, that there is a bigger actual cosmic plan and purpose. And it really comes down to that value piece. And so much can happen in our lives in the human story that causes us to forget or to question that. So it's like we need, just part of humaning is like we need that constant reminder from one another, like, hey, you're valuable because you exist, period. End of story. So this is amazing.
Well, and I think it's interesting that you bring up the 952 because our nodes right now are in the 9 and the 16. And there is, you know, a lesson here, you know, because everything in the celestial weather plays out so beautifully and so perfectly. We're being really called into focus, because focus does unleash enthusiasm and action, right action in the right timing. But to remember, too, that the shadow of the 9 is overfocus, right? Of being overly fixated on something to the degree to where we get so enthusiastic about diving deep down a rabbit hole that we miss the forest for the trees. We miss our piece, the thread of who we are in the divine tapestry. And, you know, that I think it's such an interesting, to me, it's such a really much bigger dialogue because it's all playing out in the context of us learning the me within the we, learning that it's not about you from the place of ego. I've been talking a lot about this actually in our quantum human design coach mastermind, that, you know, your mission is about you, but it's not about you, right? Your life is about you, but it's not about you. It's about you being a thread in the tapestry. And the importance of that thread is that the tapestry is what it is because your thread is in it. If that thread is pulled or it's absent, it's going to make the whole tapestry look funky, right? And at the same time, you're the thread, not the tapestry. So, finding that flow between the value of your right place in the tapestry and the importance of that right place in the tapestry, and not getting so lost in the thread that you're not, seeing that you are serving the we, the greater we, it's a big challenge that's in front of all of us for the next, really 8 to 10 years, if we look at the planetary placements, and recognizing that finding the me and owning the me and celebrating the me and really being the full color of your thread is essential to the amplification of the we. I have been sitting this week really kind of in a place of cosmic freak out to a certain degree. I am one of those weird people that does read the news. I have 7 quote unquote millennial adult children in my life that are mine. And I've had really disturbingly sad conversations with some of them this last week because we all got to hang out together because of the wedding. And some of them are really feeling like this is it. The world is done. It's screwed up. The people, the people of the past have destroyed it. There's no hope. There's not going to be agriculture. Global warming is going to kill us all. I mean, it's been pretty heavy. And I'm not at that place of despair personally because I do understand the nature of quantum creativity and the fact that we literally can transform the world on a dime if we all have enough, collective alignment around ideas. But feeling this sort of undercurrent of despair and recognizing that it's seductive, it can put us into a mindset that can become very, very personally referenced, either through the lens of despair or through the lens of potentially buying into the idea of lack, that there's not going to be enough. So we have to fight for our right share. We have to gather ourselves in deep tribes and wall ourselves off from the we. I think that's kind of the mindset right now that we have to. I don't want to say we have to battle. I don't want to say battle because that sort of already sets up divisiveness and inclusivity. But that for us to maintain and sustain a truly inclusive mindset, that means we allow for all of it and everyone, provided they're not injuring others. I think that's probably the limit. That when we can start to think about our unique role in the tapestry and embrace the power of that role and live from the fulfillment of that place in the tapestry, that us being aligned with who we are and seeing the bigger picture can be part of a wave that can shift the consciousness enough for us to dramatically alter the course of the future that scientists are predicting that we're on. I'm not, this, by the way I said that sounded like I'm bemoaning science. I am a scientist. I love science. I believe in science. And I also believe in the science of quantum creativity, which says there are no finite outcomes. There are infinite potentials. And so for us to pull into our experience a different potential, we have to first and foremost see the value of who each and every one of us is individually, move into a space of trust in source, identify and recognize those places where we are being supported, because that engenders and creates an energy field of being supported, of being in a space of trust and faith, and then harnessing that energy to hold a vision of faith and trust in a future that is abundant and sustainable and peaceful and just and equitable. Because when we stand in our own value and we see the value of each individual story and our own story, we then can look through the lens of our own eyes that see our own value and see the potential of what we could be creating and the alignment with our own individual abundance and our worthiness. Those are the eyes then that we see every other living being through on the planet. And that's, to me, that's the heart of human design, why human design is here on the planet at this time, or whatever modality it is. I don't really care. I mean, if you get to this stage of recognizing your value and seeing your me within the we by sticking your finger up your nose on a beach, I don't care how you get there. I'm not so married to human design as much as I'm married to the idea that we are at a time on this planet where each and every one of us needs the time to recalibrate ourselves around the inherent value of who we are, so that we can see without hesitation, without blemish, the inherent value of every other human being on this planet. And we can begin to build a world that matches that point of view. And so this week, the adventure is, let's learn how to stand in that place. Let's learn to hold that narrative. Let's learn to continue, or how to build or continue a narrative that says the solutions, the elegant solutions to the challenges facing humanity today are right there. They're floating as unactivated potentials in the quantum field, but because we can have the thought that this is a possibility, we're already beginning the process of manifesting the potential into reality, because your brain is interpreting that thought. You're hearing it right now. You're hearing it on your phone right now, which you're holding in your hand or is in the dashboard of your car. That's already material reality showing you that this idea is a potential that absolutely has the possibility of dropping into the manifest reality. So the more we keep telling this story, the more we keep finding evidence that this story is true, the more we keep doing the work, the waiting, the pausing, the integrating, the aligning with source, the seeing our own value, embracing the idea that it's all for us, the more we stay in that space, the faster we influence the outcome. And the more peacefully and more abundantly and the more sustainably and the more justly and the more equitably we influence that outcome. So that's our big job. And that's the job that I would task all of you to engage in with great joy and a state of wonder, because this is an incredible gift to be here. Anytime we've been here, it's been a gift. This time in particular, it's an incredible gift because you hold in your hands the knowledge of how to steer the future of the world, which is a knowledge I don't think we've always had when we've been on the planet. So it's a really powerful, powerful time. And as I have said many times before, we're standing on the brink of a creative revolution that is going to serve to be, I prove to be, as powerful as the scientific revolution was in our understanding of the material world. It's a revolution that will promise to shift us into a new way of creating in the world. And I absolutely believe with every fiber of my being, this creative revolution will usher in an era of sustainable, equitable, just, abundant peace.
That's wonderful, Karen. And now I'm fulfilling again my purpose as bringing the gentle ding in so that we can continue on fulfilling our purpose out in the world.
Totally. So thank you, Cindy, for the reminder that this is it. You've got your job assignments for the week, you guys. And don't forget KarenCurryParker.club if you want to get all the information for our upcoming Love Yourself by Human Design 7-Day Challenge. Starts tomorrow here on Clubhouse. Go to the Clubhouse page. You'll get all the resources you need to sign up and get ready. And I will hopefully see you all here tomorrow. Have a great week, everybody. Thank you, Kristen, Cindy, and Jamie.
Love y'all. Bye.
Bye.
10 a.m. tomorrow for those who are curious, because I can feel people like, what time? 10 a.m. Central tomorrow morning. We'll be on Clubhouse.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.